for both teams in their pre-match huddles. Everybody on their feet inside Craven Cottage. Of course, the place is awash with black and white. Derby County in their change strip, high visibility yellow with blue trim, and they will get the game underway. Fulham just making them wait, just lingering in the huddle away to our right hand side, and the player who comes closest to the touchline right in front of us is Ryan Sessegnon. And will the 17-year-old have a key role, create history for Fulham and send them to Wembley for the first time in the playoffs? Whatever happens, we must have a winner here this evening as Derby County get us off and underway on Talksport 2. Huddleston with a header forward, wide to the far side, looking for Anya. And it's Fredericks who rises to nod clear. Now Vyman back towards Forsyth, who plays it further down the line. And Fulham quickly gather the ball and look to get their passing game going. Target now on this near side there left. Sessegnon makes the burst down the line, then holds his position, so it's back in field towards Ream, and very quickly Sessegnon transfers it on towards Johansson, and Kearney finds Target again. Mitrovic looks to make the run off the shoulder of Davis, and I think Mitrovic against Davis could be the key confrontation this evening, Dino.
Of course, and I think Davis is going to start like he did in that first leg. He's going to be tight to Mitrovic. He's not going to allow him to just take that ball in easy, and like I said, he's very good with them long legs of his, just putting it round the side of Mitrovic to put him off. It's interesting there, Nigel, that Target looked up, didn't he, to play it to Mitrovic, decided against it, went back. So much patience from this Fulham team, it really is.
And now Ream on the edge of the penalty area, clips it forward, but it's one in the air by Huddleston. Jerome tries to lay it back towards Lawrence on the edge of the penalty area, but Fulham will clear, and now Fulham can break with Johansson out on the right hand side. The pace of Fredericks and also Kamara wait for the pass, and eventually it is scrambled clear by Bradley Johnson, and it will be a throw in to Fulham, level with the edge of the Derby penalty area, flicked in field by Johansson, now gathered by Kamara. Kearney with a low left-footed shot, never got hold of it, and it's low into the arms of Scott Carson.
No, but it gets the crowd going, doesn't it? I love that from players if they get a chance early on to get the shot away. Yes, it wasn't his best, dribbled into the arms of Scott Carson, but I think we're about 10 feet above pitch level here, and every time you come to this ground, it looks so small, doesn't it, the pitch? It looks as if there's no room whatsoever, as if the fans are right on top of you.
It feels we are hemmed in by Fulham fans on all sides here as we sit at the front of the old Stevenage Road stand, one of the listed buildings of English football. History all around us, but Fulham looking to make history on the field tonight by winning their first ever playoff game. And Tom Kearney, who scored in the semi-final defeat to Reading last season, works it wide to this near side. The pitch was heavily watered before kick-off and is still glistening in the sunshine. Now McDonald on the halfway line, looks for options, but Lawrence is quick to close him down, and Jerome is also looking to be mobile in the opening stages. Adoy with the long ball forward. Mitrovic now look to chase Curtis Davis. Davis slides in and had to get that time right, and he did at the expense of a corner with 3 minutes played.
Oh, well, he took a chance there, didn't he? Diving into the penalty area with Mitrovic, and he only just gets his toe on the ball. It was a fantastic challenge, mind. Needed to be as well. It's a good battle between them two, both with no pace whatsoever. So it was an even race.
All of the Fulham fans on their feet in the Putney end away to our left-hand side, watching Matt Target take the first quarter of the game with 3 minutes played on Talksport 2, and it's 0-0 at Craven Cottage. Target in towards the near post, and there's a free header and a commanding header clear from Tom Huddleston. Now Fredericks has time to knock a high diagonal up towards the edge of the penalty area once again. Keogh arrives ahead of Mitrovic to nod the ball away. Now Wisdom rather played into trouble by a teammate, and with Sessegnon in the vicinity, he just turns and booms it off the roof of the corrugated iron stand here in the Stevenage Road stand, and it will be a throw into Fulham. And they're looking to create the tempo and create pressure here right from the very start.
Well, that is so important as well, just even little things like that with Ryan Sessegnon, just putting Wisdom under pressure, making him clear into the stands. It just keeps the fans on side for as long as you can in this period.
Fredericks works it down the line, right-hand side. Kamara comes back to find McDonald, who tries to thread the eye of the needle to find Fredericks, who initially knocked Anya off the ball, but he was quickly helped out by Forsyth, and it will be a throw-in on the far side for Fulham as supporters still make their way into the stadium here, and we're having to bob and weave to see the action out on the pitch as the American Tim Ream pays the pass wide to this left-hand side and Target quickly into the feet of Mitrovic, who is challenged by Wisdom, and the ball spins away off the Serb, and it will be a throw into Derby with nearly 5 minutes played, Dino, but it's significant compared to Friday night. Fulham are looking to move the ball around a lot quicker when they're getting the ball forward.
Yeah, the tempo's been very, very good from Fulham, and looking to get it into Mitrovic as quick as they can. I think the only thing I would say is that I think it's going to be vital that at least one of the Fulham midfielders, whether it be Kearney, whether it be Johansson, have to get up towards Mitrovic, because otherwise they're just going to be outnumbered with that back five against the three attackers.
And already Andre Wisdom looks to be a wing-back who'll be doing very little attacking, with Sessignon looking to use his pace up against him on this near side at all times. Richard Keogh with a throwing down this near side for Derby. Flicked on by Wisdom, but cleared by Target, the lowly from Southampton. Huddleston is then quickly in with a challenge on Sessignon, and it will be a throw-in to Fulham again on this near side. And the two teams drew 1-1 when they met here in the league back in November. And the two goal scorers that night are both on the bench this evening. Oliver Norwood for Fulham and Derby's Mateus Vidra. Wisdom with the shaven head on this near side, forward towards Cameron Jerome. A lovely layoff though to the right towards Lawrence. A low ball into the penalty area, and Bettinelli gathered that very bravely. The challenge was made in on him, and it was a late challenge by Vyman, and Christopher Kavanagh, the referee, will have a word.
Yeah, I mean, that looked a lot worse than it was. I mean, the goalkeeper Bettinelli, he's just jumped straight up. He was looking to get on with the game. I think Vyman, it was a great cross from Lawrence, a lovely little touch from Cameron Jerome round the corner to Lawrence, and he whips the ball in just between the defence and the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper takes it well, and Vyman actually, I think because it's slick, I think he just can't stop himself. He kind of slides into Bettinelli. No harm done.
No, the boots weren't raised as Mitrovic comes back from an offside position to try and win the header, and he is flagged offside, and Derby County will have the free kick. Nearly 7 minutes played on Talksport 2, the home of the EFL. The only place to hear the playoffs is across the Talksport network, and the final, a week on Saturday, will be on Talksport. Talksport, the only channel to bring you both the Championship playoff final and the Champions League final in the same place, back to back, as Derby look to build, and the ball just spins away off Fredericks on the far side, challenged by Vyman, and it will be a Derby corner.
I mean, he's not the biggest, is he, Adoy? Just looked across at that challenge there with Cameron Jerome. Cameron Jerome's physically bigger, slightly taller, and he just palmed him off easily there to win that flick on for Anya, who then won the corner.
Mitrovic aside, Fulham are not a big team, certainly defensively. Lawrence with the corner, whipped in towards the near post, and it's Kearney who rises with a brave header away, challenged by Jerome. Forsyth looks to play back into the penalty area, but he's closed down by Johansson, and now Kamara is away for Fulham on the right hand side. Sessignon waits for the early ball. Sessignon with the shot, tipped over the top by Scott Carson, and that's a really good save by the former England goalkeeper Ryan Sessignon, with a golden chance to get Fulham back into the tie.
Well, Forsyth took the chance, didn't he? He went diving into the challenge and didn't win it, and then it was 3 against 1. Wisdom does brilliantly, really does. He keeps his position, makes Kamara make the pass, and then Sessignon, his touch was really, really poor, couldn't get out of his feet to get the strike properly away. That was a real chance for the young man.
Corner for Fulham. Target takes it in towards the near post. Huddleston with the clearance again. It breaks to Kearney on the edge of the penalty area. Now Fredericks plays it back in field, and Derby will clear. Akechi Anya slid in by Fredericks on this near side, and Fulham win it back again. Target though slips as he tries to play the cross into the penalty area, and Huddleston will bring the ball away. And now Lawrence plays it wide to this near side, and Andreas Vyman is flagged offside. And we just have a breather with nearly 9 minutes played.
Well, they won't get a better chance, Fulham, than they just did then when they broke 3v1. Like I said, Andre Wisdom does brilliantly. He just keeps his position, and he makes Kamara make a decision, either come and take me on or pass it and I'm going to shuffle across, and it's just a really poor touch from Sessegnon. It's as simple as that. If he takes a good touch out of his feet, he can get a really clean strike away. It's a poor touch from the young man, and the chance has really gone after that. He couldn't really get any purchase on the shot.
9 minutes played, 0-0 at Craven Cottage, so Derby still leading by 1-0 on aggregate. And although it's not relevant yet, away goals do not count in the playoffs. But Derby still holding their advantage, and now they have a free kick. Bradley Johnson has been caught by Johansson, and they both come away from the challenge all smiles. But it will be a Derby free kick, 15 yards inside the Fulham half.
I mean, you can really tell the difference, can't you, in the size of Derby compared to Fulham. I think probably them neon kits certainly help to see the size of the Derby players, but I think they could be a real threat from set plays.
Huddleston with the free kick, clipped into the penalty area. Nobody's picked out the run of Keogh, dabs it high towards the far post, and challenging for it was Curtis Davis. It was nodded back by a Fulham head, and Bettinelli, wearing all orange, is able to gather, defending the Fulham goal away to our right hand side. Now Ream, the blonde haired American, brings it forward. He knocks it to his left, hoping for either Sessegnon or Target, but both had held their positions, and as a result it's straight out of play for a Derby County throw-in.
But that chance for Derby just from a set play, Keogh, he went to run outside of the box towards Camera either didn't see him or didn't even bother to think that it was his job, and then he just ran back into the box all on his own. If he'd have taken a better touch, he could have put a better ball across.
Still a warm, sunlit evening here at Craven Cottage as Akechianya looks to use his pace in a foot race with Fredericks on the far side. He'll do well to win that, and he doesn't, as Akechianya slides off the pitch into the advertising hoardings, and it will be a goal kick for Fulham.
Well, I mean, the fact that they watered the pitch as much as they did, I know it's a warm evening, but that tells me that first of all, Fulham aren't going to look to play it in behind because it's just going to skid on. But also, I think when Derby then try and attack, if they try and play the ball over the top, it's just going to skid on a little bit more. But also then Fulham can play the style of football they want and keep it crisp and quick along the pitch.
Well, I was on the pitch before kick-off talking to some of our colleagues from television, and it was absolutely drenched. They've been watering it from about 5:30 this evening, and they only just stopped when the players came out for the warm-ups, and you can also see the water just skipping off the surface when Fulham knocked the ball across the back. So,
and a lot of that is down to the manager. The manager will be asked about how he wants the pitch to play for his team.
Mitrovic losing out to Curtis Davis again, who knocks it wide to the far side, the left Ananya, and Davis will go back to his goalkeeper Scott Carson, who's already made one important save in this game. 12 minutes played, it's still 0-0 at Craven Cottage on Talksport 2. Part of our 500 games across the Talksport network this season. More football than anybody else, culminating in the 2018 World Cup in Russia, which starts now in a month's time. And Fulham knock another easy pass out of play, and every time a Derby player thinks about taking the throw in, the Fulham players around us in the Stevenage Road stand, they're all up at the referee pointing at their watches about time wasting, but it's a bit early for that. But if anything, Fulham are being too frenetic at the moment.
Yes, you're right. I mean, you want to do things quickly, but there needs to be some composure. And that ball that was just fizzed at straight out of play from Ream, that just shows they are quite frantic, aren't they, Fulham, to get this early goal.
And Derby were a side who enjoyed a good away record in the Championship, but it's given away by Huddleston on the edge of the penalty area. Now Sessegnon finding Johansson. Every time Fulham attack, we have to stand up in our seats because everybody is stood up in front of us as Kearney tries to play it wide towards the far side, and eventually Anu will bring it clear wide towards Vyman, and now Lawrence looking to use his pace over the halfway line down the Derby left, but he showed too much of that to Adoy, but he was caught by the follow-up challenge, I think from Abubakar Kamara, and it will be a free kick to Derby in another dangerous area.
There's the threat though, isn't it? As soon as Derby turn over possession, they quickly get it to the likes of Lawrence and Vyman and Jerome, and that time it was Lawrence. Did really well, actually, really clever as Kamara came back to defend. He basically just cuts across him, and Kamara can't really do anything other than to challenge him.
Well, Lawrence has got up and he will be over this free kick for Derby County. Every single Fulham white shirt is back defending this free kick at the Hammersmith end of Craven Cottage, which is still bathed in evening sunshine here. Lawrence with the free kick, high towards the far post again, but it's nodded away by Target, but only as far as Vyman, who had time to set himself for the volley, and he loops it high over the crossbar.
Poor, wasn't it? But that must have been something that they've worked on, Derby, there, because Lawrence had a chance to whip that in with all the height that he had. Instead, he tried to float it towards the back post. In the end, they were lucky that it came out to Vyman, who took that first touch. It was really poor, his volley. He was leaning back.
Now it's played forward towards Mitrovic, back to Kearney. And now Kearney finds Target with an opportunity to whip the high ball in, looking for Mitrovic, and again it was Forsyth who arrived to get there first, and the header is over the top, behind for a corner.
Well, it's exactly what me and Dan were talking about before the game, is that if they get the opportunity, can they put quality in there? Mitrovic is a threat. Brilliant ball from Matt Target, something for Mitrovic to attack, and in the end it was a great defending header.
15 minutes played. Target will take the corner, an outswinger from this near side, the left. It's a low scuffed corner, and it's met by Cameron Jerome, and it will be a throw-in for Fulham. And Fulham worked every single corner short in the first leg on Friday, but they're trying to knock the ball high into the penalty area during this game, but so far the delivery has not been great. Now Fredericks finding Adoy, who is the last man just inside the Derby half, wide towards the far side again, and Kearney. And here is Abubakar Kamara looking to use his pace. Anya does well to make the initial challenge. The ball stays in play. Kamara cuts it back towards Kearney, who tried to weave his way into the penalty area, and eventually he is challenged, and it spins away on the far side for a throw into Fulham.
Well, and McDonald's not happy with him, because if Tom Kearney had just let that roll underneath his body, and McDonald would have had a clean strike at goal. Instead, Kearney was a little bit greedy, took it on himself, and there wasn't really the room to get the shot away, and it was blocked easily.
And it's a throw-in for Derby County on the far side. And this really is a night which shows Craven Cottage at its best. A tight, intimate stadium, very atmospheric, so much colour and conditions to enjoy, as a lovely body swerve from Ream allows Target to play it forward, but straight to Huddleston, who, as he was on Friday, is being a very effective shield so far in front of the Derby County back three. But having said that, he's given the ball away, and now McDonald can exchange passes with Target. Kearney works it onto his right foot, up towards Mitrovic, who has been quiet so far. Now McDonald again, 17 minutes played. Fulham 0, Derby 0 at Craven Cottage. So Derby still lead by that single goal to nil scored by Cameron Jerome in the first leg. Now McDonald looking to find Mitrovic on the edge of the penalty area, holds it up, tries to work it wide to the right hand side for either Kamara or Johansson, finds neither, and it's a goal kick.
That was better though, wasn't it? Lovely little bit of football from Fulham, and then that quick pass from McDonald, first time into Mitrovic, the first time actually he's had a chance where there hasn't been a midfielder on his toes. He was able to turn, and he'd be really disappointed actually with the pass that he tried to put into Kamara.
And now Chris Kavanagh, the referee, is also holding up his hands and pointing to his watch to make the point to Scott Carson that he needs to get on with things with only 18 minutes played. A high ball played forward again, up towards the halfway line by Carson, and it's straight out of play. And it's going to be a throw-in for Fulham once again, which will be taken by Ryan Fredericks, the former Spurs man. Slavicia Kanovic prowling around his technical area, as he is prone to do, and he won't be happy to see Fulham give the ball away, but Lawrence tries to go himself. There were no options either side of him, and Adoy will hoof the ball rather uncharacteristically right across his own penalty area, and Target is helped out by Ream, and McDonald gets a shout from the crowd, and it's back towards Bettinelli, who almost seemed to invite the challenge there from Cameron Jerome, and Fulham get the ball away but make rather heavy weather of it, which was typical of the way they sometimes defended during the game at Pride Park.
I think the pace of this game is just so quick at the moment, it's difficult for any player to really have that composure on the ball. Both teams guilty of giving the ball away.
Now Wisdom Picks up a loose ball inside the centre circle. Quickly forward, looking for Jerome, but Adoy and then Ream step in ahead of him. And Kenny can bring the ball forward for Fulham. Over the halfway line once again. Sessegnon makes the run from out to win, but it's shorter towards Mitrovic, who looks to work the 1-2 now with Sessegnon on the edge of the penalty area. But he never was quite set for the shot, and in the end, the right-footed side foot is into the arms of Scott Carson.
No, and he's not as comfortable on his right foot, Mitrovic. Lovely little 1-2 with Ryan Sessegnon, who'd made a great run from this left-hand side all the way into the centre-forward position. Lovely little 1-2, and he was just stuck under his feet, and he scuffed it. He didn't look comfortable, actually, Mitrovic, on that right foot.
19 and a half minutes played. Fulham 0, Derby 0 here on Talksport 2, and we've teamed up with Sky Sports to tell you all about the dedicated Sky Sports football channel with football from around the globe, including the EFL, SPFL, La Liga and more. Feel it all with Sky Sports. Vyman with a cross into the penalty area, right through the 6-yard box, and sliding in at the far post was Ryan Fredericks to launch the ball behind for a corner.
And this is the issue that Fulham will have. If you allow Tom Huddleston time on the ball, he'll be able to just thread that straight through your midfield. He's that good with his passing range. He fired that in, and then they turned, got Vyman down the wing. He put in a delicious cross, he really did. He just needed Lawrence on that far side to actually get inside his fullback. There's nothing worse than senior left winger still stood out on the left hand side. Get yourself inside that fullback.
20 minutes played, 0-0. The corner swung high beyond the far post and straight behind for a goal kick. Don't forget, we have playoff action on the Talksport network every single night this week. Tomorrow, over on Talksport, full commentary on Aston Villa against Middlesbrough. Villa, of course, leading 1-0 from the first leg, with Sam and Matt Taylor Sags leading the team at Villa Park. On Wednesday, Rotherham against Scunthorpe is live here on Talksport 2. 2-2 from the first leg at Glanford Park. Thursday, Exeter and Lincoln start goalless in the League 2 playoffs, also here on 2. And on Friday, it's 1-1 at the start between Notts County and Coventry. Jim Proudfoot and Adrian Clark on the mic from Meadow Lane, and Dan will be presenting the 72 live from the stadium from 6 o'clock on Friday evening. Ream plays it forward now for Kearney. Abubakar Kamara popping up in a central area, back towards Kearney again, and now Kamara trying his luck down the centre with Mitrovic moving over to the left, but it doesn't come off as the final touch was off the former Monaco player, and it will be a throw into Derby on this near side.
If Fulham can, they need to try and see if they can get it to Sessegnon a little bit earlier. He's been quite clever. Wisdom playing as a right wing back, and then Keogh as the right hand side of the three centre backs. He's just getting himself between them two players. If Fulham can get the ball quickly to him, then he's going to be 1v1 against Keogh.
Now Akechi Anya coming forward for Derby on the far side, up towards the edge of the penalty area. Low ball across the box, appeals for a penalty as Cameron Jerome goes down. Players from both sides are appealing inside the area, but nothing was given as Fulham scramble the ball away, and now Fredericks comes forward over the halfway line down the right. Drops it off towards Johansson, quickly infield towards Tom Kearney again. Now Adoy, and Fulham have already built their platform inside the Derby half. McDonald evades the challenge of Jerome and then plays the 1-2 with Johansson, but it's all too tight, all too intricate, and the more prosaic Derby County bring it clear, but then Vyman loses out in the challenge. McDonald finding Kearney, and here is Johansson, who clips it forward towards the edge of the penalty area. It ricochets off Huddleston, almost into the path of Sessegnon, but the bounce of the ball favours the Rams. Then two Derby players, Johnson and Huddleston, challenge in the air for the same ball, and it drops the target down the left-hand side. 23 minutes played, 0-0 at Craven Cottage on Talksport 2, the home of the EFL in the Championship playoff semi-finals. Derby still lead from the first leg 1-0. Fredericks now looks to work the 1-2 with Mitrovic inside the area, but it spins away to Huddleston, and it's a great ball from Huddleston. Wide to the far side, the left, and Lawrence. Jerome makes the run down the centre. Now Vyman joins him, but pressure from Fulham, and you can hear those cardboard clappers which they've handed out all around the stadium being used to good effect. And it's given away by Derby, but they have the opportunity to regather some composure midway inside their own half with a back pass from Johnson all the way back to Carson.
They really are going to have to score the perfect goal, though, the way Fulham play. Yes, it's great to watch, actually, and I love the way that they build from the back into midfield and then try to look for the forward players, but both Sessegnon and at times Camera, they're coming so narrow.
Now it's clipped wide by McDonald towards Targett, who is quickly challenged by Wisdom, but he's managed to squirt it back towards Kearney, and now Reemont towards Adoy. And this is the way Fulham play. The ball usually stays on the ground, although Adoy was caught late there by Lawrence, and with no real advantage forthcoming, Christopher Kavanagh has given the free kick. 24 minutes played, 0-0.
Well, we just look at Derby's formation, and every single player is, at the moment, they're doing their job. Just Cameron Jerome up front, but then every single other player is back into position. Huddleston and Johnson just shuffling across, no space. All the space is out wide for the fullbacks.
Now Mitrovic finding Johansson with the shot, left-footed, and it whizzed over the angle of Carson Beaton.
Well, Tom Huddleston's pointing towards Wisdom and Keogh as if that wasn't his job, but it was. He lets Johansson go. That's his job, Huddleston. He can't just let midfielders run off the back of him. And again, that's how Fulham play. They play it into Mitrovic. He lays it off. Johansson with a fantastic strike. It just cuts across it slightly with the outside of that left foot, which means it just goes wide.
But that's a moment of encouragement for Fulham. With 25 minutes play.
And that's what they're after. They're waiting for that one lapse in concentration, which was Tom Huddleston just let Johansson run off the back of him. That's what they're waiting for.
McDonald. Fulham looking for the single goal, which would at least take this game to extra time if they finish the 90 minutes leading 1-0. Now Kearney with a low shot which was deflected, appeals for handball, and Chris Kavanagh, the referee, is unmoved.
No, even the Fulham players didn't appeal for that. Hit him clean in the chest.
It was Curtis Davis. Now Keogh drives forward on this near side, finding Wisdom back towards Cameron Jerome, but it's a poor ball from him straight to Mitrovic, and now Johansson takes over for Fulham. He's got Sessegnon to the left-hand side. Johansson was caught in the challenge. Sessegnon now plays it back in field towards Kearney, and here is Fredericks out on the right-hand side for Fulham once again. And Fulham continue to be patient when they, just for a moment there, had Derby out of shape and looking for reinforcements, but everything is slowed down once again, and Derby County are able to regain their defensive qualities as Camara lays it off towards Fredericks, who comes in field from the right hand side into traffic, but he does find Kearney. Johansson back towards Adoy, and I would imagine that the possession stats for Fulham once again are well over 70%, but how much of it is constructive conviction possession, and that's the big question. Johansson now looking for Sessegnon, who had made the run into the penalty area, headed away as far as Targett, and now McDonald again 25 yards from goal, lofts a pass wide towards the right hand side, and Fredericks, it's the early cross in from him. Mitrovic with a header, and he made the run towards the near post beyond Curtis Davis, but it was down and into the ground and across the face of goal and behind for a goal kick.
And that's the second time that Fulham have just eased that ball into the box from the wide areas. Fredericks this time plays a great ball into Mitrovic. I don't know what he's complaining about. He was shouting to the referee. I think he felt that his shirt was being pulled, but actually got himself free for the header. And he's tried to put too much onto it. He's trying to glance it too much. If he gets a bit more of a powerful header on it towards Targett, could have been an issue.
Well, Fulham having to respond to back-to-back defeats following that long unbeaten run. 24 games, and they've become only the fourth side in Football League history to go through a second-tier season with an unbeaten run of more than 20 games and not finish in the top two. And ominously for them, the other three all lost in the playoffs. Here is Agnew now, coming forward to find Lawrence for Derby. A low scuffed ball into the penalty area. Almost wrong-footed the Fulham defence, but Targett is able to clear. But here is Agnew again. Wide on the far side, making only his fourth league start of the season. Infield towards Jerome, but it's a poor ball which is cleared away by Sessegnon, but it will come straight back, and Huddleston finds Lawrence again down the left. Forsyth was looking to move forward on the overlap, but it's back again towards Johnson, and here is Keogh coming forward now on this near side, the right for Derby. Finding Wisdom has no room in which to manoeuvre the ball. Targett closes him down, and it's going to be a throw into Derby.
Fulham have done well. When they do get back in numbers, Fulham, defensively very, very good. It's when they get caught is when they look vulnerable. And the back four look very isolated, and that's when the pace of the front three for Derby could cause problems, but when they're sat deep like they are now, they look quite compact.
Well, the Fulham crowd doing their best to get behind their team with 29 minutes played, 0-0. Fulham have had the better chances so far. Scott Carson making that really good save to keep out Ryan Sessegnon, but it's been typically tight, as you would expect in a playoff semi-final, as Huddleston looks to control the throw-in from Wisdom, but Sessegnon just nudges it out of play once again, and it will be another throw-in for Derby County towards the corner flag on this near side, and Derby just doing a good job of keeping Fulham penned in at the moment.
Yeah, the first real breather we've had, to be honest, in this first half. It's been a fantastic pace to the game. Pretty sure that back three of Derby will be pleased with just this little respite.
Now,
but why can't
Jerome is penalised? It's a free kick.
Because you're not allowed to do that. So Jerome there, as the ball's come from the throw-in, he's just shoulder barged Ream. He's more powerful than him. Ream obviously goes to ground. For me, he doesn't do anything. Maybe that's the centre forward talking, but he doesn't really do anything wrong. And you never get them as a centre forward.
That is a centre forward talking. And one, as you admitted before the match, doesn't like hard work. Half an hour play. Dean Ashton with us here on Talksport 2. Scored more than his fair share of goals, though. Now Fredericks. Wide towards Camara, level with the edge of the Derby penalty area down the right, cut back infield towards Kenny though, and now McDonald once again. And will there be a time in the game where Fulham need to be a bit more urgent and maybe sacrifice some of their principles? Target tries to nutmeg Wisdom but can't do so, and now Vyman plays the early ball forward, and Odoi had to control that because Jerome was in behind him if he hadn't, and now the Belgian Odoi will drive forward for Fulham down the centre. Johansson finding Odoi again, but Derby have been given the time to get 9 outfield players behind the ball. Fredericks infield towards Camara. Now Johansson. Sessegnon looks to turn on the edge of the penalty area, almost rolled Keogh in the challenge, but the ball ran away from him, and now McDonald tries to bring down Vyman, can't do so. Vyman gets back to his feet, and here is Lawrence on the edge of the penalty area, further wide towards the left-hand side, and it's Vyman once again. Bradley Johnson on the edge of the box, he can hit them, and the low left-footed cross from him goes right through the 6-yard area and behind for a goal kick.
I'm just wondering whether referee Chris Kavanagh is going to book McDonald. Yes. No, he's not. That's just his hand. I thought he had to. I mean, he took Vyman down. Vyman actually just bounced off the floor, got himself straight back up, and carried on with the attack. And he was
trying to foul him in a manner which was a yellow card.
Exactly. Yeah. He's very, very lucky to get away without a yellow card for that challenge.
If Vyman had not gone back up, he would have been booked.
Correct.
So, because he plays on, he doesn't get booked. That's one of those strange things. Here is Odoi on the edge of his own penalty area, back towards Bettinelli, and it's cleared downfield, right-footed again. Camara looks to flick on, but Mitrovic was on his heels there. Camara won the ball in the air, but it bounced through beyond the serve, and it's gathered by Carson. Surely Mitrovic there has got to be on the run.
He should be. He's probably not expecting it, and that's not his game, is it? His game isn't thinking of turning and running in behind. He hasn't got the pace to beat defenders.
Now McDonald finding Kenny inside the centre circle. 12 and a half minutes to play before half-time. Fulham 0, Derby 0. On Talksport 2, the home of the EFL. Derby still leading by that first leg goal to 0. And we've spoken much about Fulham's patience, but Derby so far have defended superbly to snuff out all the angles of opportunity. But here is Sessegnon picking out Johansson, and Johansson tries to find Sessegnon again, but it was a real high tariff ball behind Sessegnon into the penalty area, and as a result it runs away from the 17-year-old behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, like I said, if Fulham are going to score playing that way, it's got to be perfect. It really has got to be a slick move that's into feet and good touches, and I just keep watching Ryan Sessegnon off the ball, and he looks as if he's struggling to know where to play, where to run. He keeps trying to get in that position between Wisdom and Keogh, but he's not getting much of the ball. I think like in that first game, Jukanovic was saying, He's got to get himself wide. Try and isolate Keogh 1v1 as wide as possible. Try and drag the centre-back out of the position that into a position he doesn't want.
Now Sassignon is found by Johansson. He can use his pace over the halfway line. Kamara and Mitrovic ahead of him. Mitrovic now, right-footed shot. Always dragged just wide. It was a decent effort from the edge of the penalty area, but I think Carson had it covered.
They did again. Great work from, I think it was McDonald in the midfield, winning the ball back, and then Fulham showing that they've got to turn the pace when they want to get forward. Sessignon into Mitrovic, and again just got it out of his feet. I think because he's been starved of service, you could just see he was desperate to get the shot away, snatched at it slightly and pulled it across to the left hand side of the goal. Not his best strike.
And every time Scott Carson takes a goal kick, he goes from one side of the 6-yard area to the other to spot the ball up, and the Fulham crowd not happy about that as Ream goes to ground to Rob Lawrence on the edge of the penalty area. Wisdom finding Huddleston, and here is Johnson. And Derby County, when they have the ball, continue to be very patient, and defensively so far, we should say, they have been superb.
They have, and again, they've defended in numbers, made it difficult. If Fulham want to try and play through them, it's going to have to be a great bit of football. The one bit of great football they've had was when Johansson got that shot away. Other than that, it's been difficult for Fulham to get through.
Fredericks finding Kearney out on the right-hand side, back in field towards Odoi. Fulham always make themselves available for the pass. Nobody turns their back, although that was the problem during many games in the first half of the season, of course. They were down in 17th at the start of their mammoth unbeaten run. Kamara infield towards Kearney again, 35 yards from goal. He looks up and sees 9 high visibility yellow shirts ahead of him. So Fulham will try and take the long way round. Fredericks out on the right-hand side, finding Kamara. Kamara finds Johansson, the flick on finds Mitrovic, who was having a shirt pulled, but he's managed to roll the challenge of Curtis Davis, whips the shot in towards the near post, and it's just wide.
Oh, that's different class. Honestly, that is different class from Mitrovic. It really is. That's proper centre-forward play. It gets fed into him inside the box. He takes a lovely touch, and then he just uses his strength, a quick swivel, turns, and he's inches away from that near post. Great turn away from Davis, and then a strike with his left foot. He does everything right, other than just getting it inside that post. Carson wouldn't have got anywhere near it.
Well, it's desperation there for Slavicia Kanovic inside the technical area, but Fulham are just beginning to cause a few problems here. It's Mitrovic now back defending in the battle of the number 32s with Cameron Jerome. The ball almost spins into our commentary position there. You were ready to head that, weren't you?
Did you notice how I didn't flinch, but these two next to me?
Yeah.
Dan grabbed hold of my arm.
he was trying to stop me getting the ball. He was like Curtis Davis. But we all know you'd have headed the ball on, then turned around and shrugged. 8 minutes to play in the first half. 0-0 it remains. So Derby still have their precious lead given to them by Cameron Jerome in the first half. Every time they have won the first leg in a playoff semi-final, they have gone on to reach the final in 1994, 2007 and 2014, although they lost 2 of those finals. Keogh with the low ball into the penalty area. Fulham will clear, but it's nodded back into a dangerous area by Johnson. And now Anya using his pace beyond Fredericks, and the cross in towards the near post, missed by Lawrence, and the volley comes in from Andre Wisdom, and he almost hits the roof of the stand.
Well, sometimes if you're quick, as Anya is, just use that pace. He just knocks it past Fredericks. He's got too much pace, puts a great cross in. Tom Lawrence gets across the near post, misses it, comes all the way across to Wisdom, and he's the one player you do not want it to fall to, and definitely not on his left foot.
Curtis Davis finding Alexander Mitrovic more of a handful than he did at Pride Park on Friday, but manages to get a boot in this time. But Ream will bring the ball forward quickly on to Mitrovic. Now Kamara, Johansson, and Kamara makes the run into the penalty area. It's cleared as far as Mitrovic. Johnson goes to ground, but Mitrovic has found Fredericks. Good spell this for Fulham. 38 minutes played, 0-0. Kamara now tries to swoop towards the edge of the penalty area. Anya slides in to make the challenge, and it's a Fulham corner.
And they're just struggling, aren't they, Derby, with how quick Fulham play. They really are struggling, even though it's being played all in front of them. The football is really slick, 1 and 2 touch, hard to make a commitment if you're a defender to go out and try and intercept.
And the concentration levels have to be perfect for Derby. And they may be mentally tired as well as physically tired the longer this game goes on. Target with the corner, an in-swinger looking for Mitrovic. Huddleston is there yet again in the first half to clear. Fredericks wide towards the far side of Johansson, who just slips for a second, invites the challenge from Lawrence, but Lawrence has found Target, but it's a shallow cross into the area which Huddleston is able to clear. Weimann will look to use his pace over the halfway line, but Fredericks is quick as well, and Fulham have the ball back.
And it's this kind of pressure when you can move it quickly that makes it difficult to defend against, not only physically but I think mentally. To keep your concentration for long periods in the game is very, very difficult.
Johansson, Kamara, who seems to have a free roll at the moment across the forward line, but Keogh is the player who robs him. He finds Anya, and it's back towards Forsyth again.
Yeah, Sessegnon's just gone and swapped with Kamara. Sessegnon's gone over to the right, Kamara on the left. I think that's got to be down to the fact that Sessegnon hasn't been able to get into the game on this left-hand side.
Well, Cameron Jerome had rolled Dennis Odoi and was caught by the Belgian, and it will be a free kick for Derby County just inside the Fulham half. And we are within 5 minutes of half-time here at Craven Cottage on Talksport 2. This is the first of 5 live nights of playoff football across the Talksport network, the home of the EFL and the only place on national radio to hear every single playoff game, including finals weekend, which comes up in a couple of weeks. Now a long throw out from Bettinelli. Here is Kamara heading towards the corner flag down this near side, using his strength to come in field. Right footed shot from him, beaten away by Carson, and it's scrambled clear by Davis.
Well, Keogh doesn't want that. He doesn't want it to be played in behind. Bettinelli just threw the ball right over the top of Keogh. Kamara showed his pace. Keogh wasn't interested whatsoever, and then when he cut inside, no one really came out to him. Fierce shot. Carson, it was an easy save really in the end. Made a bit of a meal of it because Davis tried to head it in front of him. Main thing was he kept it out.
Target will take the corner down this near side. It's an outswinger towards the near post, nodded away by Davis again. Fredericks, though, will regain possession for Fulham. Derby look to funnel out and create some pressure, but Kearney skips away from the challenge of Weimann, and it's wide towards Odoi down the right-hand side. A long diagonal ball into the penalty area. Target heads it down looking for Sessegnon, but Keogh, using his height and experience, wins it back for Derby, and they can break now with Weimann, who just shoulders off Sessegnon and works it wide to the far side, the left, and Cameron Jerome, who comes infield, right-footed shot from him, got right underneath it, a loopy sort of curler over the top into the Hammersmith end.
Yeah, again, I mean, it opened up brilliantly for him. Weimann again has looked a real threat when he's counter-attacked against Fulham. Does the right thing, pushes Sessegnon off, and then plays it to Cameron Jerome. He just can't help himself. It opens itself up brilliantly as Fulham drop deeper and deeper, but he just gets too much on it. You can see he's the right idea, trying to bend it to that far post. Like you say, just got underneath it and floated it rather than whipping it in towards that top corner.
Ream finding Dennis Odoi. Both of the central defenders for Fulham playing inside the Derby half at the moment. Johansson, though, has lost out, and now the white shirts will have to recover, and there's a recovery foul there almost by Kamara to catch Bradley Johnson, but Derby play on. Weimann goes to ground, but Tom Kearney comes away with the ball. Now Johansson back towards Dennis Odoi, and Fulham continue to play in a first half which increasingly is becoming attack against defence. 42 minutes played though, it's still 0-0. Fredericks looking to use his pace down the right hand side, bobs and weaves into the penalty area, and a right footed shot from him was tipped over the top by Carson for a corner.
Best save of the game from Carson in my opinion. Brilliant from Fredericks. Drives at Anya, and all he does is, like Jermaine Defoe's done for so many years, it's just that one touch and shot in one movement. Does brilliantly. Fredericks fires it in towards that near post, and Carson does brilliant to flick that over.
Target will take the corner again. It's an outswing. It's a dreadful corner. Doesn't beat Cameron Jerome at the near post. Johansson with a high up and under towards the edge of the penalty area. Keogh does well to get himself in front of Mitrovic to clear, but now Sessegnon cushions the header wide towards Odoi. Here is Kamara again, who is built like a middleweight boxer with a very strong upper body, looking to use that strength now as Lawrence goes to ground to make the challenge, but Kamara strong enough to ride it. Target with the high ball in, Mitrovic with a header, outstanding save by Carson to punch the ball clear.
Oh, that's absolutely ridiculous from Scott Carson, it really is. Spreads himself brilliantly. What a cross from Matt Target again, and Mitrovic, he just bullies Forsyth, gets his arm on his shoulder, says you ain't coming up here, heads it down, and Carson just spreads himself brilliantly. That's all you can do as a goalkeeper. When they're that close, just spread yourself as big as you can. Might have even taken it in the face.
Inside the final minute of the first half, Ream wide towards McDonald on this near side. Fulham still trailing on aggregate by 1-0, but enjoying a good spell. Kamara looks to change the point of the attack by working it infield towards Adoy. Now Kearney, Sassignon down the right now, losing possession. It ricochets off Fredericks, and it will be a Derby throw-in. And Scott Carson so far is having some evening.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, again, that's the threat, isn't it, of Mitrovic?
Oh, with a hand, what a hand as well.
It was great. We can see a little replay just in front of us, but he gets up high, and Scott Carson, it's his forearm almost, his inside of his elbow to make the save. Big arm needed. But that looks so much better from Fulham when they get it wide and deliver real quality. Mitrovic just absolutely bullied Forsyth.
Which makes you wonder why they didn't cross the ball in a single time on Friday night.
Absolutely.
Into final minutes of added time in the first half. Fulham looking to finish on the attack, looking to level the aggregate scores here. Fredericks infield, Mitrovic goes down on the edge of the penalty area, but I think he knew Forsyth was always going to win that ball. Forsyth knocks it long. Jerome will chase, and he's got there before Ream. What can he do? Rather isolated on this near side. Jerome plays it back towards Huddleston on the edge of the penalty area. Poke through towards Anya, who is onside. Anya now with a chance to play it back infield, and Huddleston's shot ricochets off the challenge at the near post of Target, and it spins away on this near side. And Derby now may have one final attack for them at the end of the first half.
And there's a glimpse of what Cameron Jerome does. That work that he does, the ball over the top, shouldn't have really got it. Great work, leads to a chance for Huddleston.
Derby delaying the cross on this near side, and maybe just waiting for half time, and Chris Kavanagh, the referee, obliges by blowing the whistle. And so far, although the Fulham crowd rise to acclaim their team, Derby County have done what they set out to do. They are still ahead on aggregate. Scott Carson with 3 outstanding saves in the game so far, and Slavica Kanovic remains frustrated. Half time, it is Fulham 0, Derby County 0. Derby still lead 1-0 on aggregate. It's a big 45 minutes coming up for Derby County, and they have worked so hard so far, but it's a good point made during half-time, isn't it, that the concentration levels have to be so high against a side like Fulham. It only takes one slip, or maybe one mental slip, for all the work to be undone.
Yeah, you're right, and I think that's what Gary Wright will be saying. I think he'll want a little bit more as well, actually, certainly from his 2 midfield players, because I think that Fulham were able to get it into Mitrovic's feet far too easy, especially towards the end of that first half, and that'll be a worry for Gary Wright.
Well, a reminder of the 2 sides again. Fulham, Bettinelli in goal, Fredericks, Adoy, Ream and Target, Johansson, Kearney and McDonald, Kamara, Mitrovic and Sessignon for Derby, Carson in goal, who was outstanding in the first half, Keogh, Davis and Forsyth, Wisdom, Huddleston, Johnson and Anya, Vyman, Jerome and Lawrence. Chris Kavanagh blows his whistle, and the second half is underway here at Craven Cottage. A crowd of around 23,500 here, not quite the largest of the season. Fulham in their white shirts, black shorts and white socks, playing towards the Hammersmith end, away to our right. And Derby County in their high visibility yellow, and they're playing towards their supporters, who occupy around a third of the Putney end, down to our left.
And no surprise to see Derby sit deep straight away and Mitrovic get it into feet.
Mitrovic on the edge of the penalty area looking for Kearney, but there's an important challenge from Johnson, and Derby will clear, and now Derby will try and break. Lawrence infield towards Vyman, wide towards Jerome, excellent ball back in towards Lawrence on the edge of the penalty area, but he never quite got his feet in order. He stumbled, and as a result the chance was gone.
And it hasn't quite worked yet, has it? Every single time they look to attack and counter-attack Derby, there's that threat. You can see at the pace of Lawrence Vyman and Giroud, but they haven't linked up properly as yet, but the threat's still there.
Keogh steps in to win it ahead of Sessegnon, but it's given away straight towards target, on loan from Southampton on the far side. Infield towards Kevin McDonald, who we know can strike them from range, but this time it's a ball across the field towards this near side, the right, and Fredericks down the line for Abubakar Kamara, who always seems to make the most of his low centre of gravity. His ball back in field almost struck the arm of Kearney, but the referee happy for play to continue. Target with the early ball in, Johansson with the chest down. Here is Sessegnon! Ryan Sessegnon has done it, and Fulham have the goal they needed. The boy wonder in his final match as a 17-year-old brings jubilation to Craven Cottage. They are back in the tie, and their hopes of promotion have been revived. Fulham 1, Derby 0, 1-1 on aggregate.
Well, if his touch was poor in the first half, he wasn't going to make the same mistake again. It's a wonderful cross in towards Mitrovic, who takes a great touch on his chest, and Sessegnon does brilliant because he knows that he's under pressure from Keogh as it drops down from Mitrovic's chest, and all he does is just takes one on his belly. He literally just bellies it forward and then smashes the volley past Carson from about 7 yards out. Nothing Carson can do with that. Brilliant finish from the 17-year-old.
Well, what do we talk about? Big players produce big moments in big games.
And it's about learning, isn't it? Especially as a young player. He learned from that first half mistake. He wasn't going to do it again. As soon as that ball dropped from Mitrovic, like I said, he almost just used his belly just to almost tap it forwards to then be able to strike it quickly.
Now at the other end, Anya with an opportunity found by Huddleston, but he was seemingly caught in two minds at the far post, and in the end rather pecked at the header, and it was behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, there's the threat. Quality from Huddleston again, picks his head up, time on the ball, able to pick Anya out of the back post, and you're right, he doesn't know whether to side foot it, whether to volley it, whether to dive in header. In the end he does neither, and your analogy of pecking at it was absolutely right.
Well, Ryan Sessegnon will be 18 next Friday. So his first game as an 18-year-old could yet be a playoff final at Wembley for Fulham. And his final game as a 17-year-old may not be his last one in the white shirt here. Johansson. Fulham level on aggregate, 48 minutes played. Kearney looked to find Sessegnon, who turned the other way. Forsyth brings it clear, but it's Johansson who comes in with a firm challenge, and it's a throw-in, and Craven Cottage is now really alive. Johansson infield towards Kamara, who was possibly clipped, but McDonald sweeps it wide to the left. Sessegnon now has come in field, and it's a throw-in to Derby County as the ball goes over his head. But we talk about the quality of the finish, but from a Derby point of view, who was at fault? Wisdom?
No, I think it's probably Keogh, to be honest, because the cross came in, he wasn't in a great position, it missed him, and then the knockdown from Mitrovic obviously fell to Sessegnon, and Keogh, having let the ball go over the top, he then didn't see the danger, didn't get himself back into position to mark Sessegnon, and that's all it takes, is that one lapse of concentration, and he showed his quality with the finish, smashing it into the roof of the net.
Well, it's only the third time Fulham have scored in 8 playoff ties. Peter Beardsley, Tom Kearney and Ryan Sessegnon. Now Fredericks with a low ball into the penalty area from the left, and it's swooped on by Carson on the edge of the 6-yard line.
He's coming into the game more and more. Fredericks got real pace. Anya played as a winger at times, playing as almost a full-back now, how deep he's getting, and he doesn't do that defensive work quite as well as Forsyth does as the left-back.
Now Sessegnon again, looking to fasten onto a long throw forward. Two Derby players collide, going for the same ball. It was Davis and Keogh has gone down clutching his face and may require some treatment. Some blood may have been spilled here.
But that's just the panic, isn't it? That's the panic that Fulham have been able to put into Derby's side. Both of the players go for the same ball, lack of communication. Keogh coming off worse. Again, unbelievable tempo for Fulham in the start of this second half.
5 minutes played in the second half. Fulham leading Derby by a goal to nil. 1-1 on aggregate. Ryan Sessegnon with the goal. And Richard Keogh is flat out here. The stretcher has been called for. And Derby may have to make a change. And everybody inside Craven Cottage is on their feet. And the coolest man in the stadium is one of the youngest, Ryan Sessegnon.
Well, we were talking, weren't we, before the game about how these big games is where you're going to be remembered, how you can enhance your reputation, and he's done exactly that. And I think what's so great as well is he missed that chance in the first half where he took a poor touch. It hasn't affected him, keeps going, and when he gets that next chance, really did take it well.
16 goals this season now for Ryan Sessegnon, and the first half of the campaign he played as a fullback. I mean, that is the measure of his calibre, isn't it?
It is, you're right, and he wonders how far he can go. But I think I've been covering some of the England under-17 European Championships, and so many of them players are so adaptable now. It's great to see from our young players that they're able to adapt positions from full-back to wingers to even forwards at times.
Well, Keogh, I think, is back on his feet on the far side as Fulham try and make the most of the throw-in, but it's spun out of play again, and it will be another throw-in which Target will take. It remains a warm, very mild evening here in southwest London as Fredericks comes forward now for Fulham down the right-hand side. Kamara is looking to offer the width once again, and he's managed to isolate the fullback infield towards Fredericks, who just slipped, and now McDonald with a shot which was deflected, and it loops high off the shoulder of Keogh behind for a corner.
You can't defend this deep if you're Derby County. They're so deep, they're all in their own penalty area at that point. There was only two players outside their penalty area. That's how deep they were. You can't defend that deep.
Sessegnon is over the corner on the far side. Target is offering himself as the shorter option, but it's Sessegnon who lofts it high, swirled towards the far post. Wisdom jumps to head away but misses it. Here is Kamara now down the right hand side. He slips at the vital moment but still finds Kenny with a high cross in, looking for the head of Mitrovic, but it just grazes the eyebrows of the Serbian and goes behind for a goal kick.
I'm surprised actually that Curtis Davis hasn't actually gone and had a word with Chris Kavanagh, because Mitrovic, what he does is when the ball comes in, he gets up early and he just puts his arms on top of your shoulders, so he doesn't allow you to jump, which is great if you're a centre forward. But really, Curtis Davis should just have a little word with the referee and just say, you have a watch, where every time that the cross comes in, he's holding me down.
But is that not part of the centre forward's art?
Oh, absolutely. From Mitrovic's point of view, it's brilliant. But if you're a defender, I think he's got to try and say something to the referee, because it is a foul. But that's what Mitrovic is trying to do. He got away with it in the first half with that great chance as well.
54 minutes played, pinky blue, early summer skies overhead as Fulham look to build again, leading by a goal to nil here on the night, 1-1 on aggregate. So if it stays like this, we would head to extra time and maybe even a penalty shootout to decide who is going to Wembley. Villa and Middlesbrough will compete again in the second leg of their semi-final tomorrow, live on Talksport. Villa leading 1-0 from the first leg. Sags in the chair with Sam Matterface and Matt Taylor as Sessegnon almost works it into the penalty area for Kamara, and Derby clear. But you're right, they are far too deep, Derby County. They are not engaging Fulham high up the field at all. Now Kamara. There's the 1-2 with Kenny, but the pass was over here and it's behind for a goal kick.
And also they're starting to get stretched from the back three to the centre forward lines, getting bigger and bigger, and that's leaving more space then for Johnson and Huddleston to cover the ground, which, as we said before, they're not athletically very good, and that's where Fulham can make the most of that three-man midfield that they've got.
Well, it's a raucous atmosphere inside the stadium at the moment as Jerome tries to win a header, but he's beaten to it by McDonald. But now Lawrence hooks it forward, and it's Bradley Johnson making the burst through, and he's ridden the challenge of Adoy, and the volley towards the near post blocked by the legs of Bettinelli, and it spins behind for a corner.
Well, I was waiting for the net to bulge, because when he gets it on his left foot, Johnson He tends to find the back of the net when he gets in that position. He just shrugs Odoi off as if he's a youth team player. Angle was tight. Bettinelli does well to stand big. Doesn't catch it properly though, Johnson.
Corner, high from Lawrence towards the far post again, nodded down by Keogh and nodded into the Derby supporters behind the goal, and it's a goal kick. The Derby have just not got started, have they?
They haven't, no. They haven't been able to cope with how quickly Fulham play. And then when the ball's gone up towards Jerome, it's not gone with any quality because they're panicking. They're just getting the ball away, and then Fulham just start their attacks again, and they build it very purposefully.
Well, the Derby supporters now very quiet behind that goal away to our left-hand side. 56 minutes played on Talksport 2. Fulham 1, Derby 0 the scoreline. Ryan Sessegnon with the goal. We are level on aggregate on Talksport 2, and we could be heading for extra time unless we find another goal from either side. Lawrence flicks it on for Derby, midway inside the Fulham half. It's not clear as far as Huddleston, who returns it with interest. The head tennis continues between Ream and Huddleston before Ream cushions a volley forward. And here is Johansson back towards Kearney, but he's challenged by Johnson. But Kearney does well to go beyond the challenge of the former Leeds man. And it's worked wide to the right-hand side and Kamara via Fredericks. All Fulham for the whole of the second half so far. 57 minutes played. They lead by a goal to nil on the night. Ream inside the centre circle, peeling away to the left-hand side is Target, but he comes back in field towards McDonald, and every single Derby player is back inside their own half, and on this occasion it works because Keogh manages to intercept, but sliding in on Vyman is Target, and it spins out of play for a throw into Derby County.
Yeah, just the quality certainly in the second half hasn't been good enough from Derby when they do win the ball back.
Now Vyman slid into the path of Jerome. The first time layoff to Lawrence, and Lawrence tried to find Jerome again on the edge of the penalty area, but you hear the chants of Ream as Tim Ream steps in to clear. Now Johansson with the chest off to find Kearney, who lobs it wide to this near side. Kamara takes it down well, but pressurised by Forsyth, plays it all the way back towards Bettinelli. But Fulham maintaining possession here, and there was a lot more purpose about their general play since half-time. Kearney given the room to turn, and he's got Fredericks on his outside, but at walking pace he just clips it infield towards Johansson with three Derby midfielders around him. But already, Dino, the Derby players beginning to look a bit tired here. Odoi finding Johansson on the edge of the penalty area, wide to the right, and Fredericks almost skips away from Anya, who had gone to grab but then lunges in the second time just to poke the ball away.
Yeah, vital touch, wasn't it? But I think they have just changed formation slightly, Derby. I think they have gone to a back four, almost a 4-4-2 now, with Forsyth going to left back, Wisdom to right, Anya playing as a left winger, and I think it's Vyman's gone over to the right hand side. They had to do something. Gary Rowett had to change it slightly. I think they needed more men in that midfield who starting to get overrun 3 against 2.
Well, the last second-tier team to win the playoffs after losing the first leg of their semi-final was Bolton back in 1995, when they came back to beat Wolves before also coming from behind to beat Reading in that memorable final 4-3 at the old Wembley. But Fulham looking to make history here. Kearney also looking for their first ever victory in a playoff game. It could be on the cards at the moment, but it still might not be enough to take them through to the final. Kamara now on the edge of the penalty area, finding Mitrovic, who turns. Mitrovic with the left-footed curler, which snakes its way through the bodies and just wide of the far post.
Kamara's been a real threat, hasn't he? So much more than Aite in that first leg. He's been powerful, he's been a nuisance on that right hand side, and when it falls to Mitrovic again, he backs him brilliantly, strong, wrestles Curtis Davis off, and then just tries to curl it with the left foot, a couple of feet wide.
Fulham crowd still not happy about perceived time wasting from Scott Carson, with an hour played here on Talksport 2. Fulham leading on the night by a goal to nil, and we are level on aggregate at 1-1. Davis with the early ball forward over the top, looking for the pace of Lawrence, but Ream will clear, and here is Kearney, who's got time to turn. assesses options left and right. He goes towards the near side, the right, and Johansson further on towards Kamara, slid into the area. Fredericks is round the back. The cross though is sliced away by Davis. And now Vyman does well to pick out Jerome. Jerome strong enough to ride the challenge of McDonald, and then he is caught by Johansson, cleaned out comprehensively, and Jerome not happy about the nature of the challenge, and I am not surprised, and the Norwegian will receive a yellow card.
Oh, you won't get any more cynical of a tackle anywhere ever than that from Johansson. He knew he wasn't catching Cameron Jerome, just took him down. Rightly so, got a yellow card. You've got to say it's a terrible challenge, it really is. But all of his teammates, a little pat on the back for him there.
Is that called taking one for the team?
I think you're right.
Well, it's a free kick for Derby, but they don't opt to knock it long. It's Davis only finding McDonald, and Johansson just miscontrols. And had he controlled, he would have had Sessegnon in down the left-hand side. And Carson has it again, wearing all green, defending the Derby goal away to our right-hand side. His long ball forward was aimed towards Jerome, and the back pass from Ream hits Anya, who was goal side of him for Derby. And now Anya, wide on the right-hand side, tries to thread a cross in, which was blocked by Ream. And now it's gathered on the far side again. Early ball into the penalty area from Vyman, but Derby will not profit because it's cleared away up towards the halfway line.
It's interesting with that change as well. Vyman, Anya, Lawrence and Jerome, when they look to clear Derby, all four of them go. All four of them. I just wonder whether with that change they're then trying to make sure that the back four, Fredericks and especially Fredericks and Targett, have to come back and defend, because that's where they're getting a lot of joy. Fulham is Fredericks and Targett having lots of room in the wide areas, forcing them back to defend because of the numbers of Derby. It might just be a way of defending for themselves.
Kenny tried to release Kamara down this near side, but it's cut out by Forsyth. He finds Anya quickly infield to Lawrence on the edge of the penalty area. Derby have numbers forward here. Anya with the cross, and Bettinelli is able to gather it. Far too much air on that from Akechi Anya. 63 minutes played. Fulham lead 1-0. Quickly bowled out by Bettinelli to find Kamara on this near side. Infield towards Kenny. And now Sessegnon back towards Kenny again. Kamara holds his run to stay onside, and now he can look to go beyond a tiring Akechi Anya. Comes infield and finds Johansson once again. And the game, just for a second, being played at walking pace, and that's because Derby are so deep. Kenny now finding Johansson again, 25 yards from goal in a central area. Sweeps onto his right foot and finds Kearney. Square towards Mitrovic on the edge of the penalty area. Mitrovic again just brushed aside Davis, but the left-footed shot was high over the top.
I don't mind that, I really don't. I know he's smashed the shot over the bar, but when it comes into him, he's just trying to shift it away from Davis and get his shot away. He's looked really strong and aggressive, and he's getting the better of Davis in this second leg, that's for sure.
Declan, our producer, tells me Ryan Sessegnon is the first 17-year-old to score in a playoff game since Max Clayton for Crewe. Yeah, absolutely. In May 2012.
I'd have been in trouble if I didn't get that right.
Absolutely, I'll put you on the spot there with that in mind. Sessegnon now coming in field again towards the edge of the penalty area. Mitrovic miscontrols, but it breaks to Kearney. Kearney finding Kamara deep inside the penalty area, down the right, fires it in towards the side netting with better options ahead of him, but it took a deflection on the way, and it's a Fulham corner.
He didn't try and do anything fancy, did he, when it came across from Kearney to Kamara? 1v1 against Forsyth, didn't try and do anything fancy, just tried to shift it onto that right foot and use his pace. Forsyth did very well, stuck to his defensive duties, put it out for a corner.
Sessegnon will take it, an in-swinger, 65 minutes played, Fulham lead 1-0. Sessegnon deep into the penalty area, glanced on and glanced in! Dennis Adoy, of all people, has scored the goal, which could take Fulham to Wembley. They have turned things around here. A 1-0 deficit now becomes a 2-1 lead. Their playoff hoodoo could be coming to an end, and Derby County's season could be ending here and now. 2, Derby County 0, 2-1 on aggregate, and Dennis Adoy, the most unlikely of goal scorers.
Isn't that just typical. In the first half, we're saying what big side Derby are, how Cameron Jerome's bigger than a doy, but it doesn't matter if you get yourself free. And the delivery from Sessegnon's brilliant because it's flat and it's got real pace on it, but he gets in front of his man at that near post of Doy and he flicks in a quite magnificent header into the far post where they haven't got a man on the post, but it's pretty much right on the money, in off the post, right near the top corner.
Dennis Odoi with only his third goal of the season, his first since October, and Fulham looking for their first ever victory in a playoff game. Lead 2-0 on the night, 2-1 on aggregate, and Derby are responding here with a double change. The first player to come on is Casey Palmer. Tom Lawrence is going off, and Nketiah will be replaced by Mates Vidra. They've got to go for it.
Well, they have, but have they left it a little bit too late with Fulham being 2-1 up and dominating the game? Gary Rowett will be desperately hoping that these players make a difference.
Well, Casey Palmer on loan from Chelsea. He's only scored a couple of goals so far as the high ball in from Forsyth is gathered by Bettinelli. Forsyth was the player, out-jumped by Odoi there, and Sessegnon has scored one and made one. As the ball just spins out of play on this near side, and Derby now need to score to force extra time, and the clock very quickly is moving against them. 23 minutes to play.
Well, they've brought on the man that's got the golden boot in Matthew Vidra. Can he be the man, as Sessegnon has been so far? Can he be the man for Derby to drag them back into it?
Ream with a back header almost into the path of Vyman, and Vyman has won it on this near side. Infield now towards Bradley Johnson. Johnson with a high ball to the far post. Wisdom hooks it back infield, but only finds Targett, who rather slashes at the ball, and it bobbles away on the far side. Still in play, and Targett then completes the clearance by heading it out, and it will be a throw-in to Derby. Casey Palmer was on loan at Huddersfield when they won the playoffs last season. And Derby County were hoping some of that experience will rub off on him now. 68 minutes played on Talksport 2. Fulham, who have never previously won in the playoffs, lead Derby County 2-0. Palmer now with a low cross in towards the near post, and it's blocked behind for a corner.
They've got to try and not go deep, Fulham. Yes, they're 2-0 up.
And now Palmer and Bettinelli are having a set to behind the goal. Palmer had gone to try and retrieve it, and Bettinelli got there first.
Yeah, it's too early to be trying to time waste and be deep. If you're Fulham, go try and keep your shape.
And the corner high into the penalty area, and McDonald rises just to flick it clear. Ream will get there first, infield towards Kamara, who just stumbles as he tries to control, and it's out of play, and it will be a throw in which Forsyth will take. 21 minutes to play at Craven Cottage on Talksport 2. Fulham leading, and now Johansson charges down a clearance from Curtis Davis, but there was just enough on the rebound to bobble through towards Carson. If that had stuck on the turf, it would have been curtains.
It would, yeah. Curtis Davis took a big chance trying to clear that upfield. I felt he should have just put it out of play. Got away with one.
Derby in their 10th successive season in the Championship. They are 20 minutes away from it becoming their 11th successive season outside the top flight, unless they can find a goal here. And the team which started the second half on their way to Wembley are now seeing their season coming to what they will consider a premature end. Forsyth with a throw-in on this near side. Infield towards Vidra. And now Huddleston picks out the run of Keogh charging forward. You just feel there may be one further twist in this game. Wisdom on the edge of the penalty area, given the opportunity to twist and turn, and he's found Palmer down the right. Palmer now will take on McDonald. Can he deliver the cross? He can, and the header from Vyman, who was never really set for it, just glances wide at the near post.
Great bit of interplay from Wisdom and Casey Palmer. He's looked sharp since he's come on, Casey Palmer. Just stopped it, checked, went again, and stood it back behind McDonald for Vyman, and he should do better when it comes back to him. The pace is on the ball, he's just got to direct it. Again, with a lot of players when they try and head it, their necks really flick to almost put the power into it. They don't need to, just try and guide it, almost like Adoy did. Just guide it towards that far post.
Don't forget tomorrow, Villa against Borough, the second leg of that semi-final, live on Talksport, with Villa leading by a 1-0 with Saggers, Sam and Matt Taylor. Wednesday night, Rotherham against Scunthorpe from League One, 2-2 from the first leg. They head to the New York Stadium. On Thursday, it's goalless between Exeter and Lincoln in League Two. And then on Friday, here's an opportunity as the back heel inside the area for Derby from Vidra comes to nothing. On Friday, Notts County against Coventry. They start at 1-1. Mitrovic with the ball down the centre looking for Camara. Carson comes fully 50 yards from goal and then lumps it over the top straight through to Bettinelli.
Again, Camara just getting the beating of Forsyth for pace. If that ball had been slightly better, he'd have been in. That's what you want from your goalkeeper, Carson. Sweeping up, taking absolutely no chances of playing out. He's not going to start playing like Edison.
Well, Derby lost in the playoffs in 2014 and 2016, and at the moment 2018 will not be a good year either. Sepsignon the back heel from Camara inside the area, almost found Mitrovic, but it's scrambled clear by Curtis Davis for a throw-in on this near side.
Starting to enjoy it, aren't they, Fulham? Especially that front three, lovely interplay. Again, great strength from Mitrovic to hold the ball up out to Sepsignon. He flicked it into Camara, who tried a little Cruyff flick to Mitrovic. Good defending, Curtis Davis.
Kenny looking for Camara again on this near side. Forsyth with the clearance, only finding McDonald. Back towards Fredericks. 18 minutes to play on Talksport 2 at Craven Cottage. Fulham 2, Derby 0. Fulham lead 2-1 on aggregate. Ream now with a hurried back pass under pressure from Jerome, and all Bettinelli can do is bobble it out of play, and it will be a corner to Derby. Self-inflicted potential wound.
It's just simply overplaying. I mean, the ball was a little bit under hit from Adoy to Ream. You don't always have to try and play out from the back. You're under pressure. They've put more forward players on.
Huddleston with the corner, high into the penalty area. Mitrovic rising to not it clear. Now Camara looking to use his pace with a burst down the centre. Camara has got Carson ahead of him. He's gone beyond Carson. Carson's pulled him down, and Carson will not be penalised. Abubakar Camara will be booked for diving.
And you can see how incensed Carson is, because he knew that he just pulled out of the challenge. What is Kamara thinking? Why not just run past him and put it into the empty net? You've committed Carson, he's come out again. All you need to do is just flick it over him, which he does, and then he just goes down. Put it in the back of the net.
Well, Vidra was coming in behind at some pace. I think he would have got there had Camara stayed on his feet, but that's not the point. You've got to make him make the challenge. Well, Cameron Jerome is coming off, and David Nugent is coming on for Derby. Their final change, all out attack now.
I'm surprised they've taken Jerome off. I wonder whether he might bring Nugent on as well and just play Vidra almost in behind the front two.
Well, Fulham are inching towards Wembley. 16 minutes to play. A long bouncing ball though into the area. Doesn't find Vyman for Derby, and it's gathered by Bettinelli. So Johansson and Camara have both been booked in the second half for Fulham. But at the moment, they will be at Wembley on the 26th of May. Exclusive national radio commentary of the playoff final, only on Talksport, the only station to bring you back-to-back the playoff final and then the Champions League final, Liverpool against Real Madrid. Dreadful ball now by Camara, right across the centre of the field, and it's intercepted by Palmer, and now Nugent with a chase into the area down the right-hand side, and it's Ream with a very important intervention.
They've just let themselves get a little bit
excited.
Scrappy Fulham in terms of their system. Sessignon's got to do his work defensively. Kamara's got to do his work. Get your shape back. Just try and calm things down.
Well, Matt Targett is now coming off, and Thomas Callas is coming on. And Callas will be 25 years of age tomorrow, on loan from Chelsea. Targett rather milking it, and Keogh just encouraging him to make his way towards the touchline. It's amazing how the mindset for time wasting changes depending on the scoreline, isn't it? Yeah. Well, will there be a change of formation? Another central defender coming on.
Possibly. I think the fact that Casey Palmer's come on and has looked lively, maybe just feeling a little bit leggy, target from 2 tough games.
Well, Derby have a corner on the far side. Tom Huddleston will take it, and everybody for Fulham is back now. 14 minutes to play. They lead 2-0 on the night, 2-1 on aggregate. Huddleston's corner aimed towards Davis. It's headed away, but there's no outball. Vyman back towards the far side again, and it's blocked as Huddleston tries to deliver the second ball in. Kenny with the header away. Sessegnon pressurises him, but Huddleston still plays it into the area. Nodded away by Ream. Hook clear by Johansson up to the halfway line. Kamara nods it back towards Mitrovic, who helps it over the halfway line. Derby clear, but Mitrovic has it again. He's been caught by Huddleston on the halfway line, and Huddleston will be the latest player to receive a yellow card.
That was just a tired challenge from Huddleston. He didn't want to have to run back with Mitrovic. Just clipped his ankles as they were away.
And Huddleston apologises to his teammates, but really he knew what he was doing. And now there is a set 2 involving Kevin McDonald and the Derby bench, and a yellow card has been shown towards McDonald as well, I think for time wasting, because he went off the field to have a drink.
Absolutely right, Nigel.
Well, it's getting very, very tense out there, isn't it? You can understand why the mistakes are starting. And maybe brains are getting a bit scrambled at times.
It's starting to get stretched, isn't it, the game? I mean, naturally Derby throwing men on and certainly committing more men forward. But it's leaving that gap, isn't it, now for the pace of Kamara and Sessegnon, who I think's gone to a wing-back position.
Johnson infield towards Nugent. Now Vyman with a high ball forward towards the edge of the area. Fulham will clear, and now they will look to break with Johansson, but it's infield towards Adoy, who at the moment could be the goal-scoring hero to take Fulham to Wembley. Fredericks down the right-hand side, under the lights now at Craven Cottage. Kamara scoops it into the area, but again, it's a Hollywood type of ball from Kamara in the sort of situation which didn't really demand it. Callas, though, steps in ahead of Nugent on halfway, and Kenny has it again for Fulham on this near side. They lead 2-1 on aggregate with 11 and a half minutes to play on Talksport 2. A team which has never won a playoff game are heading towards Wembley as it stands. Kearney finds Kamara now down the right-hand side, cuts the ball back low. Mitrovic is there inside the penalty area, never got the ball under control. Johansson's left-footed shot deflected, and in the end the ricochet helped out Carson as it gently bobbled into his arms.
They haven't got to grips with Mitrovic all game, Derby. Curtis Davis was brilliant against him in that first leg. He's not had a kick against him this evening. Every time it goes into his feet, he's either twisting and turning for a shot or he's looking to lay off for one of his teammates.
Now Palmer cutting infield from the left-hand side, but took on one too many. Johansson will clear. Mitrovic holds the ball up superbly on halfway. Really made his backside big there to create the barrier for Curtis Davis, and as a result he held him off, and Fulham will look to build. Kearney releasing Kamara, who's got pace and space into the penalty area across the face of goal, and it's cleared away with Sessegnon waiting for the tap-in, and it was Curtis Davis and Keogh who just about scraped it clear.
Well, Derby have got to take the chance, haven't they, with the amount of forward players that they've got on, but it does leave so many gaps at the back, and Kamara's got the pace to beat any of the back five. Just couldn't quite pick out Sessegnon, who'd made up a hell of a lot of ground to try and get into that near post.
Fredericks now down the right-hand side for Fulham, infield towards Abubakar Kamara. And this ball in field was another dicey one, but it found Johansson, and here is McDonald. Kamara once again, back towards McDonald. Mitrovic lurking on the edge of the penalty area. Now Kearney has managed to find Kamara into the final 10 minutes now at Craven Cottage. Fulham leading by 2-0. Mitrovic unable to ride the challenge of Davis this time, but it breaks on the edge of the penalty area. Johansson's left-footed shot, too close to Carson.
Yeah, he did well to hold it as well, Carson. He had a little bit of dip on it. Again opened up, and all three of the midfielders for Fulham are very capable of striking from distance. right down Carson's throat.
Vidra, wide towards Palmer, on this near side. Derby beginning to run out of time here. They look to have a grip on this game at half-time, but Ryan Sessegnon and Dennis Odoi have wrested it from them. Wisdom with a low cross in from the far side, the right. Callas has time to control and clear. Mitrovic does well to hold the ball up on halfway. And here is Kenny looking for options. He's got Camara to the right-hand side. Fredericks is ahead of him, and Fredericks will steam forward now into the penalty area down the right-hand side. Believes he was fouled there by Davis, but no challenge was offered and no decision given by the referee. And Fulham will quickly win it back, though. Derby County are not creating anything. Here is Kenny now, sauntering towards this near side, finding Camara, who will look to take on a tiring backpedalling Forsyth, and it's still Camara deep into the penalty area, and the cross is blocked by Forsyth, and it's behind for a corner.
Well, both Camara and Mitrovic have done brilliantly to relieve some pressure. That was a foul on Fredericks, that's for sure, from Curtis Davis. I think that's one of those where if he goes down, he wins the free kick. It's just outside the penalty area as well. But great work from the two forwards, Mitrovic and Camara, just relieving the pressure by holding the ball up well.
Everybody on their feet here in the Stevenage Road stand, including ourselves, as Kenny takes the corner on this near side. Johansson comes short. 8 minutes to play on Talksport 2. Kenny looking to work the angle for the cross, but eventually a back heel from Vidra will clear the ball away. Palmer at some pace on this near side, looks to make the break for Derby, but it's boomed into the back of the stand by Fredericks, and the final touch was off Palmer, and it will be a throw into Fulham.
Well, he's looked lively, Palmer, since he's come on, but he's got to release it early. He's tried to take on too many touches.
And the referee just encouraging Fredericks to get on with things. Here is Kearney now on the wrong side of Vidra, on the edge of the penalty area, away to the right-hand side. Camara has got space and time. Kearney was caught there, but the referee is happy for play to continue. McDonald plays the 1-2 with Johansson. Fulham are heading backwards at the moment, but now Ream wide towards Sessegnon, who's shaped to play the ball down the line and eventually does so, but it's a ball onto the chest of Bradley Johnson, who scored the first goal of the EFL season at Sunderland back in August. Can he come up with another one now to keep Derby alive? Not on this occasion, because they've given the ball away. McDonald wide towards Johansson on the left-hand side. Sessegnon steaming forward now in behind Wisdom. His cross though is met by a diving header of Forsyth at the near post, and Derby will try and clear the ball away, but they're a long way from the Fulham goal and time is running out. 6.5 more minutes to go. Fulham leading by 2-0, 2-1 on aggregate.
Well, anyone would think that Fulham are the ones that are desperate for the goal. They're doing all the attacking at the moment, and I just wonder, you take off Cameron Jerome, he's your physicality, he's the player that you can play it to. He'll start to hold the ball up, he'll win flick-ons. Now they're trying to play it up to Nugent, who just hasn't got that.
Ream with a clearance down the line on the far side and gets a second bite of the cherry, plays it in field, and Fulham taking a chance, but Kenny was strong enough and clever enough to make the most of it, and now a long ball forward is flicked on by Camara into the path of Kenny, who just holds onto it, infield onto his left foot. He's got Johansson in space on the edge of the penalty area. Kenny was caught there off the ball, but the referee allows play to continue. Sessegnon picks out the run of Johansson, and Fulham here just happy to play keep ball as Kenny gets back to his feet, but they're eating up time. 5.5 minutes of normal time to play. Fulham leading 2-0 on Talksport 2, 2-1 on aggregate. Derby going out in the playoffs yet again. McDonald squared towards Fredericks, 25 yards from goal on the right hand side. Camara is offering the width yet again. Camara needs some support, then clips it towards McDonald, who glances it across the penalty area to the left, and Sessegnon, who comes in field. Mitrovic was the target, but this time he's held off by Davis. Huddleston knocks it long. Odoi with a back header towards his own goal, which Vyman will try and pick up, but it's out of play, and Derby have a throw in by the corner flag on this near side with under 5 minutes to play.
They just look fresher, Fulham, they really do. Derby players starting to tire. It's taken a lot out of them that first leg, and this game, the concentration, the work they've had to get through to try and keep Fulham out, which they haven't managed to do. And Fulham just look fresher.
Forsyth with a long throw in towards the near post, met by Odoi. flicked away by Kamara and then Kearney, but it's won back by Forsyth, and Mitrovic hauled to the ground by Bradley Johnson, who, with an expression of exasperation, throws his arms up in the air, rather like Alexander Mitrovic often. It's a free kick for Fulham.
He'll be glad that it's the other way around. Derby will just be thinking now, can they create that one chance? Can they get that one set play and the right delivery? Because at the moment they look out on their feet. They don't look like they've got any energy whatsoever to get that goal back.
4 minutes to play. Fulham 4 minutes away from Wembley. Don't forget, Aston Villa against Middlesbrough, exclusively live on Talksport tomorrow night with Sags, Sam Matterface and Matt Taylor, controlled superbly by Adoy on this near side. The early ball forward was looking for Mitrovic, but it's guided back towards Scott Carson by Forsyth. What have Derby got left? Very little time, that's for sure. Now Huddleston has been robbed by Kearney. Out on the left-hand side, Sessegnon, showing a circumspect nature, just holds his run, and a back heel from Kearney doesn't find Johansson, but it keeps Derby penned deep in their own half.
Yeah, but Huddleston, he doesn't enjoy it, does he? Playing against youthful exuberance in Kearney. He's just got to be careful, he's on a yellow card as well.
Early ball forward now from Mitrovic. Nugent is chasing, and he's got there before Fredericks, who goes to ground. Now Johnson on the edge of the penalty area, back towards Nugent. Right-footed shot, got the angles all wrong off the outside of his right boot, and it's nearer the corner flag than the goal.
Yeah, that's half a chance, isn't it? For Nugent, showed real pace to get on the end of the ball that was over the top. He fed it to Johnson, and then when it came back via a little back heel from Johnson for Nugent, it opened up really nicely. And he just leans back and cuts right across it. He'll be really disappointed he didn't make the goalkeeper work at least.
Gary Rowett heading for a third defeat as manager in the playoffs. He was defeated twice at Burton during his days in League Two, and now he is pointing to the referee and telling Bettinelli to get on with things. The Fulham goalkeeper obliges. Mitrovic was the target, but Keogh just snakes out a leg to win it back for Derby County. Inside the final 2 minutes of normal time on Talksport 2. 2-0 Fulham lead, 2-1 on aggregate. They have worked so hard in this game to cancel out what happened in the first leg. Carson now with the early ball forward, but it's too early. Way beyond everybody and into the arms of Bettinelli at the other end.
To be fair to Carson, he's looked up there. You know,
what have they got?
We're into the 89th minute. He looks up and there's just Nugent on his own. He tried to fire it into him. It went straight through to Bettinelli. Put one of the centre-halves up. You've got three big centre-backs, or Huddleston. Put them up, go long. Minutes to save the season.
Davis trying to move forward now, and he's found Vidra, and it's a good ball from him wide towards Weimann on the far side, but Sessegnon with some excellent defending, and he's helped out by Callas, and Callas was clipped there by Weimann, and it will be a free kick, and I think a foul there born of frustration for the Austrian.
Well, he's disgusted, Weimann, that he didn't feel that he didn't get a penalty. Ryan Sessegnon, he just chops back inside. Ryan Sessegnon tries to do his defensive work. Weimann chops back inside. He feels Sessegnon holds him, he doesn't, and then he just lunges in to Callas. Lucky not to get away with the yellow card as well, so he really just catch Callas.
Tom Kearney's coming off, and I think Fulham have picked the player who was nearest towards this near side, so he's got the longer thwart, and he very deliberately takes off the captain's armband. Oliver Norwood is the player who will come on. Chris Kavanagh is encouraging Kearney to get off, and Kearney says, hang on, I've got to pass on the captain's armband to somebody here, and Kavanagh says, look, I'll take it off you, you get off. And Ollie Norwood, who scored in Derby's win, or rather Fulham's draw here against Derby last season, is the player who will come on. And Derby are furious here that Kearney is taking as long as he can, but in fairness, this is what they were doing in the first half.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously when it's on the other foot, you're not happy about it. And Gary Rowett as well, he's disgusted.
As a result, there will be 6 minutes of added time.
How was there only 1 minute in the first half and 6 minutes? I know Keogh was down for a couple of minutes, but
Well, that's caused some consternation among the Fulham supporters and maybe given hope to Derby, but now Mitrovic at the other end. He's gone beyond Keogh, he's heading towards the corner flag. Keogh and Huddleston are trying to dig the ball out. Mitrovic is holding on to the corner flag for support, and the final touch was off Keogh, and it's a Fulham throw-in by that corner flag on the far side.
Well, he was all alone, Mitrovic, and he held off 3 Derby defenders. Win his team a throw-in right down at the corner flag. He's put everything into this game, Mitrovic. He really has. Fantastic lone striker role that he's played.
Cameron now goes down. He needs to be careful. He's already been booked for diving once. He then goes down again, and this time does get the free kick as he was fouled by Huddleston.
Not sure he went down very easily. Huddleston saying that to Kavanagh, but again it just bides a bit more time. The 6 minutes that's been added.
We played a minute of the 6 added minutes. The free kick played high into the penalty area. Nobody there at all for Fulham, and Derby will be able to clear. Johnson infield towards Matesh Vidra. Vidra has the run of Nugent to his left-hand side. The pass was behind him, but he managed to check back and find Forsyth. He's got to go forward here quickly. Now Huddleston, wide to the far side, and Wisdom. Wisdom has been tracked by Sessegnon as he heads into the penalty area, back towards Palmer, and Derby have so many shirts here, and the shot is driven in, and it's driven wide of the near post by Vidra.
There was a cute pass from Casey Palmer. He waited and waited for that little dart from Vidra. Just darts into that near post area, and he gets his angles all wrong. He really does. You'd expect a player with as many goals as he has to know exactly where the goal is. He didn't that time. He was a good 10 yards wide.
Well, there are Derby fans in tears already here, and we still have 4 minutes of added time to play. Bettinelli is going to take the goal kick. All the Fulham fans on their feet here, willing their team towards Wembley and keeping their dreams of the Premier League alive. Bettinelli's going to be booked here for time wasting, and really I'm not surprised. And that could add on another 30 seconds.
Not that he cares.
Well, Bettinelli now will finally take the goal kick. Clears long downfield. Mitrovic is underneath it, and he fouls Keogh in that aerial duel, and it will be a free kick for Derby County. 3 minutes of the 6 added minutes played.
Send the big boys forward.
Everybody going forward here for Derby. Forsyth will take it. Carson even thought about going forward. It's played forward towards the edge of the area, rising to clear as Mitrovic, and then Adoy with a second header away. Vyman nods it back towards the edge of the box. Curtis Davis flicks it on. It's controlled by Nugent, and then the ricochet infield off Norwood allows Sessegnon just to hoof it up towards the halfway line. Huddleston though wins it in the air, but Adoy will chest it down, and now the early ball is played forward, looking for Camara, who will chest it down with Forsyth at his back on the far side. Infield it goes towards McDonald. McDonald shrugs off Vidra, plays it down the line towards the corner flag. Camara will chase, but Forsyth will find Carson, and Carson now, challenged by Camara, does well to work it out towards Keogh. Keogh now with a long early ball forward. 2 minutes of added time to play. Fulham leading by 2-0. 2-1 on aggregate on Talksport 2, but these are desperate moments for the home fans. Palmer up towards the edge of the penalty area, cleared away by Callas. Derby straining every sinew to keep their promotion dream alive here, to keep their season going. It's back to Carson. He goes long downfield again. Davis playing as a centre forward, wins the header, and it's wide towards the far side into the penalty area, but there's a miscontrol by Nugent. It allows Ream to make the challenge, and it's a throw-in taken quickly. Now Wisdom on the corner of the penalty area, wide towards Nugent, who rides the challenge of Sessegnon. Wisdom high towards the far post, nodded down and nodded wide by Curtis Davis.
Oh, they just all got in each other's way. Keogh, Davis, Huddleston, they all went for the same ball. It was a decent delivery from Wisdom to the back post. They just all went for it, all got in each other's way, made a right hash of it.
We've played 5 of the 6 added minutes here. Fulham are almost there. It's a relatively short journey from the southwest of London to the northwest. And unless we have a dramatic intervention here from Derby, Fulham will be going there on the 26th of May. Live on Talksport. Mitrovic does all he has to do by just knocking the ball out of play. It's a throw-in which Casey Palmer will take on the halfway line. Back it goes towards Huddleston. Has to be big, has to be long here. Huddleston up towards the edge of the area. Davis will chase. A backpedaling Fredericks will head clear. Now it's hooked on by Norwood. Up towards the halfway line. Huddleston has missed it. And the referee has blown